Well, over now to Linda Akigbe in our Abuja studios for more on the news at 10. Hello, Linda.
Thank you, Suleiman. And now the news from Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. The Great Nigeria House, a 15-story building situated along Martin Street off Balogun on the Marina, Lagos Island, has been gutted by fire. According to the director in the Lagos State Fire Service, Mr. Rasak Fadipe, the fire started at about 6:30 a.m. when firefighters from Oniko Fire Station responded. No life was lost as the building housing many offices had not opened for business when the fire started.
Billows of smoke from the Great Nigeria House, located in the Lagos Island axis of Lagos. The 25-story building also housed Main Street Bank on the lower floor and other business concerns. The firefighters swung into action. The Commissioner for Special Duties, Lagos State, Dr. Wale Ahmed, is informed of the inferno.
It actually started around 5:30 in the morning. There were no people occupying the building at that time. We thank God there was no loss of life, and all the emergency management and response agencies of Lagos State responded promptly.
The Lagos State Fire Service faced the challenge squarely, citing the obstacles to extinguishing the blaze.
There was a very timid crowd here as at the time we got here. They were not even giving us the opportunity to work, trying to snatch the equipment from us. So that hindered our operation when we initially got here. Velocity of the wind is blowing the fire, and as a result of that, it's giving oxygen to the fire to continue to burn the more. Another challenge is it's not easy for us to get water around this area. We travel as far as Costain.
No casualties were recorded, but certainly huge damage is done to this building. And amazingly, the fire didn't spill to other surrounding structures.
The Supreme Court has affirmed the candidacy of Mr. Tony Nwoye as the validly nominated candidate of the People's Democratic Party for the Anambra 16th governorship election. Delivering the lead judgment, Justice Kudirat Kekereku said that Mr. Ukachukwu did not question the candidacy of Mr. Nwoye, which was upheld by the appellate court. The apex court therefore agreed with the appellate court that Mr. Nwoye is the validly elected candidate of the People's Democratic Party. Our correspondent Amaka Ukafo was at the Supreme Court and now reports.
It's less than 12 days to the Anambra State governorship election, and the legal tussle reached its peak to determine who is the validly nominated candidate of the People's Democratic Party. For at least 4 hours, counsel to the parties involved argued their case before a 5-man panel of the justices of the Supreme Court. Counsel to Mr. Nicholas Ukachukwu, Mr. Joseph Daudu, asked the apex court to rule that the appellate court was in error when it ruled that the trial court did not have jurisdiction to determine the compliance to the rules guiding selection of candidates to represent a party at an election. However, counsel to the People's Democratic Party and Mr. Tony Nwoye urged the court to reject the appeal for lack of merit. They said that the rules guiding selection of a candidate are purely internal party matters, and the courts cannot be seen to be imposing candidates on political parties.
When the Supreme Court speaks, that is the end of the matter. This is the third time this matter has come back to this court, and the court has finally spoken. And from what the court has said, Comrade Nwoye is the PDP gubernatorial candidate for the November 16 election in Anambra State.
We passed through different stages of the courts, Federal High Court in Port Harcourt, to the Court of Appeal, Port Harcourt Division, and now this is the apex and last court of the land. It has confirmed his victory, that despite all the technicalities, he is the authentic candidate for the PDP.
The justices of the Supreme Court ruled that the appeal succeeds in part in that the appeal court erred when it ruled that the trial court did not have jurisdiction in the case. However, the court added that the appeal did not challenge the candidacy of Mr. Nwoye. Therefore, Mr. Nwoye was confirmed as the PDP candidate for the November 16 election. The court will give reason for their decision on January 31st, 2014. Amaka Ukafo, Channels Television News.
The Speaker of the Taraba State House of Assembly, Haruna Sokwa, has died. Mr. Sokwa died of an undisclosed ailment this morning at the Federal Medical Center, Jalingo, the Taraba state capital. Reports say that Mr. Sokwa took ill last Thursday and was rushed to the hospital. Until his death, Honorable Sokwa represented Takum 1 constituency in the State House of Assembly since 2007. The late speaker had been a staunch supporter of acting Governor Garba in the ongoing battle for the control of the state. He had escaped death narrowly on the 19th of September after gunmen attacked his convoy along the Jos-Abuja road. He escaped unhurt, but some policemen in his convoy sustained various degrees of gunshot wounds during an exchange of fire between them and their attackers. Mr. Sokwa attended Federal University of Technology, Yola, and Government Secondary School, Ibi, for his university and secondary education, respectively. Meanwhile, the Taraba State Governor, Dambaba Sontai, has described the death of Honorable Sokwa as a loss to not just to Taraba State, but Nigerian democracy as a whole. In a press statement signed by his Chief Press Secretary, Governor Sontai describes the late speaker as a politician of considerable standing who performed creditably well. The governor adds that the late Honorable Sokwa would be remembered for his ability to stand firm by any cause he believed in and his contribution to democratic experience in Taraba State. Meanwhile, reactions are still emanating from the All Progressive Congress over the church stampede which occurred in Uke, Anambra State, that left 25 people dead. At a meeting with journalists in Oka, the state capital, the Ngige campaign organization described the claims by Governor Peter Obi and the ABGA national chairman, attributing the cause of the incident to the APC governorship candidate and his supporters as an orchestrated lie. The organization is also questioning the credibility of the governor in setting up an inquiry into the incident.
It is rather most unfortunate that the state governor and the Afghan national factional chairman chose to play politics with such a national tragedy in which they were both principal actors. The statement credited to the Anambra state government that the stampede which killed over 30 persons was caused by the supporters of Chief Chris Ngige should therefore be disregarded as a tissue of lies that it is by the good people of Anambra state and Nigerians in general. One thing stands out clearly, which can never be deemed by any desperate campaign. This tragedy could have been avoided if the APGA campaign train did not visit the adoration ground at such an ungodly hour to campaign for votes. The governor should not hold Senator Chris Ngige responsible for his growing unpopularity and how the people choose to react to him whenever he appears in public.
Those who have continually blamed the Nigerian Navy for not adequately protecting the waterways may just need to hear about some challenges facing them. The chairman, Senate Committee on Navy, Senator Chris Anyanwu, explains that the Navy cannot do better than it's doing at the moment due to poor budgetary allocation. She told journalists in Abuja that the government must increase the financial allocation to them.
All I get is Navy is not doing this, Navy is not fighting piracy, Navy is not fighting, oil theft, and we're losing enormous resources through this means. And yet Navy is like tied down, releasing funds, to accelerate the acquisition of the right, platforms. You're not doing that, and you've released only 55.8% of capital. And you have also missed the milestone in payment for the largest vessel that they are buying, which is the one that can go far into the sea. And if we miss it, what will ensue is that all the money that we paid before may just go down the drain. And we don't want failed projects like that. So it's high time that we realize that we need to take extra budgetary measures. When we give them what they need to do the work, then there'll be no excuse for them not doing the work. This week or next week, the president is going to be presenting the 2014 budget. I am alarmed by what I understand might happen. Because if these projects are not funded in 2013, and then they are not funded in 2014, then we might as well forget everything about the Navy.
8 alleged notorious armed robbers said to have been responsible for the attack on some policemen attached to the Ije police station in Lagos on October the 9th have been paraded by the police. While parading the suspects, the Commissioner of Police, Lagos State Command, Umar Mango, said during the exchange of gunfire between the armed robbers and SARS operatives, a member of the gang, Taye Agege, was shot dead, while other members of the gang, including the lady, were captured by the police.
The robbery suspects, led by Ife Olubaba, who is believed to be an errand boy to a captured gang leader, Abiodun Ogunjobi, also known as Godogodo, had been on the run for several weeks, but the police had been on his trail since he led others to attack men of the Nigerian police who were on patrol.
On the 9th of October 2013, policemen attached to Iju police station were on their normal patrol, and suddenly a group of people came, opened fire on them, and carried their rifles.
Mr. Umar Omanko also explains that the rifles in question had been recovered along with several other arms and ammunition along Egbada area of Lagos with their operational vehicle.
Now from them we recovered the 2 AK-47 rifles they took away from the police. They shot at Iju. 1 automatic pump action gun, 4 locally made pistols, 2 loaded AK-47 magazines, fully loaded, and 135 live cartridges.
Members of the gang gave an account on how the attack was carried out.
Yeah, they Simon to me, I don't come down that day, but God no, I don't come down that day. After 3 minutes or 4 minutes, I don't see English for Taye. I don't see English for Taye. After that one, after 1 second, I hear like 3 times, and I don't see 2 guns for their hand.
Me I don't know say na police they want cookie, and then at the first time when they carry me go outside with that, then say they want to find me drug. So as if they go, then say they will give me 1 bus to say I go outside drive.
The police, on its part, assured residents of Lagos that it will continue to provide security, but also wants the public to assist with information that will make policing much more easy.
And that's all from the FCT. Now back to you, Sulaiman.
Well, many thanks, Linda.